Hello, hello. Happy New Year. It's Johnny Ward and Flynn Goward. It feels like an aeon, to borrow a phrase from Uncle Monty in With Nail and I, one of the great movies of all time. It feels like an aeon since me and Flynn were together. Flynn, it's been a very, very long time. Happy New Year to you, but I got to start with this. Look at this photo to melt one's heart. Can you just explain this photo of this grizzly veteran layer at the racetrack and his young son?
Well, I'm hoping that the picture's magically appeared on the screen right now. The Star Source editors have hopefully done a good job there. It was Arthur's first trip to Cheltenham at the weekend. Cheltenham New Year's Day. We have got a race card. We shall be keeping it. And he gave us some good luck because we actually copped a few quid on the day for the firm. So Esme, my partner, was walking around the track by herself. He went to the members bar. He went to the See You Then bar. He went round to the parade ring. So at 14 weeks of age, he's already done the rounds at Cheltenham and witnessed a New Year's Day card. So not a bad life for the little man, I'll say, Johnny.
What a father. What a father is all I'll say. Well, we'll get straight into it. We've football to discuss. Since we were on, the league title race basically ended. In fact, that just happened in a heartbeat almost. And obviously, we can talk about maybe the top four and stuff like that. But let's start with Cheltenham, Naas, and all that went on over Christmas and New Year's. We obviously had Leopardstown as well, but we had the Shallow Hurl, the Rel Keel, very impressive winner of the Shallow in particular. Good performance as well, obviously, by Ginto and the big one at Naas. How has it been for Star Sports over the last week or so?
Been tough. It's been really tough, but not really from the racing front. It's more been the darts. The darts have just been killing us. I'll get onto the darts in a bit, but yeah, that's been really, really tough. Some results that have been looking to go our way, and then they've just completely gone against us. It's been really, really tough. But in terms of racing, it's been good. I've actually just done the yearly racing figures, and it's all looking kind of positive for the last year in terms of the start.
So just briefly on that. So what, in terms of, you've looked at the figures like online or at the track or both or what?
I'm talking more online here. I mean, at the track, I wouldn't have the figures ahead, but I would imagine we've probably done it right, to be fair. But when we go to track, obviously we want to make it pay, but we also just want to get ourselves out there a little bit, meet the punters, give the great service that we like to give them, and be a great advert for the brand. So that's the main thing about going to the track for us.
How much can you tell us about the figures then? Like, was it good or bad?
Yeah, well, I can't give you exact numbers, Johnny, but yeah,
you've told Arthur, haven't you?
It wasn't too well, yeah, but he doesn't understand. So
the start of the year, soon enough. Wait till he's 2 years of age.
the start of the year was definitely better than the end. So the first 6 months were fantastic. It was a bit of topsy-turvy for the last 6 months is probably the way that I would describe it. A tough December, really good November, tough August actually. So it was kind of nip and tuck, but I would say that we just got out on top. So we had a decent year, to be fair, on the online side of things.
Okay, but what I want to know is, you don't need to tell us like exact figures, but have habits changed in the pandemic? A lot of this was done when there was no racing on. When people weren't racing, and a lot of people obviously are betting online now. So has the turnover been encouraging? Put it that way.
It would be bigger than the year before, yes.
Right.
I think that's just in line with our growth as well, though. I feel like as a brand, I think our website's got better. I think our app's got much better.
Since you and I started doing Trader Chat.
100%. Hopefully our videos got better as well, but I'm sure the comments will attest to that. So no, it's been a good year for growth for Star Sports as a whole. So we can't be complaining there at all. In terms of when you talk about lockdown and stuff like that, we saw that just after lockdown there was an increase in bet numbers because obviously people, not after lockdown, but when sports started up again and we were still in lockdown, so when you had Cheltenham behind closed doors and all that type of gear, bet numbers kind of came up to here, and then once we were allowed to go out again, they probably came down to here, but before we were probably at here, so we kind of went up to here then. So
that's the most impressive graph I've seen in a long time, actually. But betting shops are down, give or take, 50% in 2019. So Star Sports are well placed to not have to deal with the problems that are facing betting shops at the moment. And I would worry for the future of betting shops, I got to admit.
Yeah, but we are still opening. I mean, one of our big kind of lines at the moment is once after the closing betting shops, we're opening. So we're seeing these opportunities.
Okay.
Where we can go in, and if you look at some of our betting shops, I think that they are pretty good in terms of the way that they're fitted out. I know they're brand new, but they do look pretty cool and very user friendly. So hopefully people do go and get on in our betting shops, and and we give that classic Star Sports service that we try to. Whenever you call up over the phone, you'll get through to one of the boys or girls in the trading room, and we try to give that service, and hopefully that's reflected on the shops and on the track as well. So it's a kind of all in one service package at Star Sports that we aim to give, and hopefully it's slightly different to a different bookmaker when you go there anyway.
Okay, talk to me about the service that you extended to the race scores at Cheltenham. Did they give you money, or did they take it back off you?
They actually gave us money at Cheltenham. It was a very good day. I'll spin through the card, just give you a bit of a lowdown of how it went, and a couple of the lovely beasts that we saw in action. The first race on the card was the sorry, I've got a cough at the moment, but I've not got COVID, so if I do have a little interlude every now and then, it's just my cough. Hillcrest was the first one on the card. That was the Ballymore Novice Trial. Great result on track. We laid a 6,000 to 4,000 Iron Maximus, and then we laid a further 3K at 11 to 8, the same horse. So we were kind of staring one right in the face, to be honest, in the first race of the day. Hillcrest, a lovely big type. Lofty did a tweet about him probably winning a national one day or seeing him in a national. It really wouldn't surprise you. Real big 3-mile chaser in the making. Lovely horse for Henry Daly there.
So nice. We need to see the likes of it. Like, we need to see the likes of Henry Daly having good horse again. I think there is maybe a bit of a resurgence in the British novice ranks at the moment, because obviously Ian Maximus was very, very well touted coming into the race.
Yeah, he certainly was. He was well back from 6-4 into about 5-4, and then was easy to back again and kind of stayed around that mark. Hillcrest, the late money did come, to be fair. Was around 4-1, drifted out in the morning, back into 3-1 towards the off. I think that the conditions helped him massively, because he just managed to stay all day through the ground. So it did suit him, but a great run from him. And look, if he's going to love those conditions, that's perfect for the chase that he's probably going to become in time. So one to take out of the day was Hillcrest. The second race, fullback for Gary Moore, was back off the balls body off. Probably unfortunate for the Venetia horse, falling at the top of the hill, was lobbing along. But he obviously fell. He kind of stumbled after the fence. He seemed to land okay and then stumbled. So fullback managed to win that race. We actually missed the move on course. It was back to him from 7s into about 9-2. Same in the office. The money on course was under supervision. That was Nigel Twiston-Davis horse, who ran a tame race. He was reported to have post-race ataxia. So hopefully he's all okay for the future. But that was the second race on the card, so we were still in front here. Long Press, I think that's how you pronounce it, was very popular in the office and on the rails. Won at 7-4. That was a losing race for us, but only a small losing race. Market moving for Cheltenham into 15-2 from 14-1 for the Turner Novices Chase. It's now called previously the JLT or the Marsh.
I find it very, very hard to keep up with these names, I have to say.
Yeah, I know, especially when it's one of the novice races. Just in terms of how that race actually looks for the Turners. Bob Honor's your favourite for that 5-4. You wouldn't mind opposing him in terms of the jumping. He's not come out very much, is he? But
he's probably very, very good. But I mean, you can't be backing a horse like that at 5-4 at this stage.
Oh no, definitely not. So if you wanted to oppose with the Venetian Williams horse, it's 15-2 there for that race. The feature on Saturday went the way of Vienna Court for the Twiston-Davis team at 10-1. Was pretty popular on track and in the office, but wasn't a horrific result. All the money was for Zanza. Change of tactics didn't work for Zanza. Normally kind of dropped out the back and passes beating horses. They tried to bang man in front and he just didn't seem to like it. So I would imagine back to usual tactics for Zanza next time out. Dolphin Square was a terrible result on course in the next race. Lofty would describe it as not his finest hours. Yeah, exactly. Lofty would describe it as not one of his finest hours. He was mouthing off about the jockey, although he did say, look, when you bet one of Maxwell's horses and he's riding, you know what you're going to get and it should be built into the price. But he still wanted to lay it, so we had it for about $3,000 at the off. We had the favourite for about 2.5, and then we had Dolphin Square for 3. Lofty went off to the toilet, and then when he came back, they were coming around the home turn, and I'm just like looking for him, just thinking, oh my god, we're going to do 3 bags on a 33 poke here, or should have been 25, and Lofty was 33. So anyway, tough result for us there, but a good result in the office, as you would imagine, from the 28-1 shot. The real kill was the penultimate race. Guard Your Dream, by far the most popular. We had 10,000 on track in cash. So we got the money back that Lofty had done in the last race on the real kill. Similar bets laid in the office. He was never at the races. Brewing Up a Storm loved to come down at the last at Cheltenham. He's done it twice.
Yeah, probably would have won. In fairness, Stormy Ireland, what a mare. Like, I mean, she's had a remarkable story, just her kind of, having her little trainer switches along the way. And just looking back, she went to Paul Nicholls basically middle of 2020, comes back and then wins. She's won 3 races now, grade 2, obviously the grade 1 last year, Punchestown, and winning again. What a mare she is for a doughty little mare, just loves the racing.
Oh, so game. You would imagine like 2 mile 2 would be her trip. Do you know what I mean? Like an extended 2 miles would be perfect, because they were coming back to her, and I think Bruno definitely would have got the job done if he would have stood up. But yeah, a great win for Stormy Island. She was solid all day around the 9-2, 4-1 mark. And in the last race, would it be Cheltenham if we didn't have a Fergal and Paddy favourite in the bumper? Every single meeting I've been to, I reckon November, December, in the bumpers, Fergal and Paddy have just had one that's been plotted. I say plotted up for it. They all just seem to win. He looked unlikely for a while, but stayed on to win around the 4-1, 7-2 mark. Small losing result on tracking in the office, but we were well in front on the day, thankfully, on track. And it was a decent day in the office as well, as we were at Cheltenham at the weekend. I guess we just have a couple more races to talk about. And I do want to touch on some of the Irish stuff from earlier in the week. I haven't actually written any notes on it, but it's probably one that we can just speak about earlier in the week. And one place to start, Johnny, Galopin de Champs, probably.
Yeah, there were some sensational performances, you'd have to say. And even like Willie's horse that won the beginners at Fairy House on New Year's Day. Let me just find his name here. Jungle Boogie. He was sensational as well. Like, so, you know, I don't know where these horses are going to end up. Galopin de Champs was absolutely visually sensational. Sometimes you do wonder, is this too good, you know, too good to be true? But it was just, this is what gets Jumps fans going. When you see a novice that is just so good and just literally loves the game, and you're wondering, imagine him being taken on up front by something at Cheltenham, and you're like, this could just be a hell of a spectacle. Stepping up to 3 miles, taking on the Nichols Hot Boss, you'd be like, this could be just a hell of a race, and I love that performance.
I thought that was performance of the Christmas period. I wasn't a massive Galopin de Champs fan before that. I was always trying to find things to take him on. Obviously didn't take him on the day, but I mean, that performance was just mega. It really was. And I think he's earned his price in the market and his place at the front of it. If you're looking at him for Cheltenham, you're looking at about 11-8 now.
Wow.
Very, very short. There might be a little bit bigger out there. But yeah, very short. Braveman's game in there at 7-2 for the
7-2, okay.
And then Ahoyson, you also drifted out after being beat by Braveman's game. I've seen reports this morning that Braveman's game might actually be aimed at this race, even though Paul Nicholls didn't want to send in there. The owners obviously want to go. So we could have a decent little match on when we get to March. I thought that was probably performance of the Christmas period. Just to pick a couple more out, I'll just pick a couple of races from the Christmas period, because I can just know off the top of my head how we actually did on them. On the King George, obviously a very good result with Tornado Fly winning. We did actually lay a bit of 28s, but that was a decent result. Getting him beat in the front of the market. Clanders Oboe was a loser for us, and as was Mileta Indo in that race. Have to talk a little bit about Galvin for the winning the Savills, Johnny. Won at 7-1, Aputar back in second place at 8-11. Do you think that Henry's form is just what's done Aputar there, just the current yard form of Henry de Bromhead, or do you think it was a fair victory for Galvin?
I don't know. The yard form is interesting because obviously put the kettle on's performance was so bad. Manila Indo, you know, possibly disputed a pace that was too fast. But like, I don't know if Aputar it were yard form. I thought, what I think bet him was he jumped out a little bit to his right at times, and you're talking a nose here. It's very fine margins. He possibly hit the front a bit early, but you couldn't give out about Rachel Bachman. To be fair to Galvin as well, Galvin is a relatively young horse who, you know, had run very well at Down Royal, had a bit of race fitness on his side, was given a brilliant ride, jumped exceptionally well. And for me now, considering his form at Cheltenham, his age, and you know, obviously the extra stamina demands that will be needed at Cheltenham, the doubts about the two de Bromhead runners after Christmas, you know, album photo 1, but he's a 10-year-old now. I think he comes into it. I think he may be a 6-7-1 shot. I think he's justified. I think he'll run a big race at Cheltenham.
Yeah, I love Galvin. I mean, if you look at his form figures, how can you not? Especially if you bet him a few times, because he just comes out consistently. I think he's been really well placed as well. And I think because he's been so well placed, and he's probably not raced against the best all the time. I know he's won the Four Miler and all that type of stuff, but maybe because he's not been in those hot novice races, he's just not respected enough. And now exactly. He's come out and have done the business in a proper race against a proper horse. He's now 6-1 for the Gold Cup, but he's double the price of Aputar. Aputar's 3-1, Galvin 6-1, Minetta Indo's in there at 8. I mean, Henry's got a job to get him back. Album's in there at 10. Then Tornado flies in there at 12. So a real interesting kind of shake-up. The one that I actually like for the race is Protector for the Gold Cup. I know it's very early doors, but
what price?
14s. I think it's a very fair price. He's the shortest of the UK runners, but I know you could pick holes in the form at Aintree the last time out, but he's a potential improver. He's still young. I think
7 chase starts, yeah.
Yeah, so he's still very unexposed, very new at the trip. So
very new at the trip, yeah.
A real strong traveller. I can see him just kind of picking him off in the Gold Cup, but and especially when he got question marks around the head of the market.
14s is very fair. Like absolutely, that's not a bet because it's the one race he's definitely going to go in. Massive question marks over the Irish runners at the moment. Cheltenham obviously no problem to him at all. Will come there fresh. Ground. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Only a 7-year-old as well.
Yeah, so I think the Protector Act's one to look at, but I wouldn't put anyone off Galvin being the solid option there in the Gold Cup. It's nice to have a little bit of a different picture in the Gold Cup. Looking forward to it this year.
Absolutely.
Classical Dreams, probably one to really quickly talk about in the Christmas hurdle. I thought he was very good, along with Champ in the long distance hurdle. Because obviously we've in the long walk, we've obviously not done Trail Chat for ages, so we haven't spoken about these, but they head the market in the stayers now, and that'll be a decent matchup if they both get there. You'd think, Johnny?
It was an extraordinary race. Classical Dream, in my view, was the second best horse in the race because whatever way you look at it, the start was a bit of a mess. I've sympathy for the starter because it happened really fast. I'm not even sure Classical Dream was intended, and Paul Townend said he wasn't intended to make the run, be kind of fly-leapt. Unfortunately, then, so you have Danny Mullins looking around on the runner-up, obviously, Florian Porter, who was probably kind of trying to make the running or was intended to make the running, but was slightly out wide, and maybe his tactics were slightly up in the air, but he wasn't expecting to effectively be half a dozen lengths down at the tape. He then sort of rushed up to get to Classical Dream. The two of them went off an incredibly hard pace visually anyway, and I'm not man for, I didn't do the times, I don't know what the time was, but I thought Classical Dream at times probably went closer to a 2-mile pace, got a few breathers in, kept going, but at the line it was a diminishing 2 lengths or length in 3 parts, whatever it was. So Florian Porter, I thought, emerged with huge credit, and I imagine at Cheltenham, I think he could well beat him at Cheltenham, but it was a brilliant performance. Probably doesn't need to go left-handed, but it's going to be a hell of a stairs hurdle actually now, looking at it with Champ into the mix as well.
It certainly will. Classical Dreams in there at 9-4, Champs 4-1, Florian Porter 6-1, Time Hill 13-2. I mean, I think that's skinny. I won't push that out after this. And then Galopin Des Champs in there at 16 if he was to revert, but I would imagine he won't be doing that.
Yeah.
I think the question is I know we're kind of previewing the Stayers hurdle here, but I think it's kind of apt after the performances we've seen at Christmas. But who would you rather be on? Champ 2 lengths behind Classical Dream coming around the home turn at Cheltenham. I'd rather be on Champ.
Totally, yeah. But in fairness to Classical Dream, he's not straightforward because he's referenced that afterwards. They rode him totally differently at Punchestown when it worked out well. I would just worry about Cheltenham. He's not going to get a fly jump start like that because Florian Porter will probably want to make the running. There's no way they're going to allow him much rope. And if there's pace pressure up front, I don't know. Like whatever way you look at Champ, you can be fairly certain that he's going to be fine the way the race is going to be run. He's going to run his race. He's a massive engine to get up that hill. And Classical Dream was paddling a bit coming up the hill at Leopardstown. There was entirely justified because he'd gone too hard for much of the race. But he's not going to get that start. Like, so if you look at the start again, he's gifted 6 lengths effectively. He wins by 2. And I don't care what way you look at it. Florian Porter had to go after him and expend a lot of energy doing that. So it's going to be a hell of a race. It looked like an average enough division. Now it looks great all of a sudden.
Yeah, it does. A lot of these races look a bit more open this year. I know we're a long way out, and they always look a bit more open at this stage. But especially between the English and the Irish as well. Nicky Henderson's got a few. Obviously, he's got John Bonn in the Supreme. Constitution Hill, I think, is an absolute machine.
Yeah.
Depending on where he goes, we've got Chandler Post in the Stayers Hurdle. I don't think we're out of it in the Gold Cup. So that Presbyterian Cup handicap, when we do get around to it, Johnny, may look a little bit more interesting this year. Compared to the one last year anyway. So
one of the best bets I've ever had. I think it was basically over after one day pretty much.
It certainly was. So those are the main runners from the Christmas period. Just
very briefly, Ginto winning the Lawlers at Naas as well. It's very likely performance. I like the way that Jack Kennedy was sort of half getting after him, but he just looks a horse that probably wants 3 miles really, doesn't he?
I thought he looked absolutely fantastic, to be fair, and I thought that a fair bet would be if you were to bet him to win any race at Cheltenham. I'm just not sure where he goes. I think I'd prefer to bet him for an Albert Bartlett. We're 7 for the Albert Bartlett and we're 8 for the Ballymore. I think he might be done for a bit of toe. You know that old adage saying of you need pace to win the Ballymore and you need to stay to win the Supreme. I mean, if that's true, I'm not really too sure, to be honest. But
the better the race is, the better he'll be, says his trainer.
Well, there you go. So
you can imagine if he went to Cheltenham and he's traveling pretty well after a mile and a half, he's going to just trade so short and running because of he raced lazily at Naas and ended up winning by 4.5 lengths. So he's one of these walk in the park horses that's come along subsequent to Douvan, when Walk the Park got all these very good mares all of a sudden, and a lot of them are coming to fruition now, and he is a serious walk in the park.
Yeah, certainly. Again, I just wouldn't be sure where he goes, but he's definitely one to take out. And if we're comparing his performance to Stage Star, I thought he was way more impressive than Stage Star. And I think that the reason that that the Irish trainers have these top novices is just because they all race each other, and you get a better picture of what's being what. If you look at the form of the Challow, I mean, it's pretty shocking.
Gringo de Brel and all that. The only thing is, it's just the strength of Irish point-to-point horses coming through as well. Like the likes of Ginto. I mean, what did Ginto? Like Ginto cost what?
He's chunks, wasn't he?
He was 4.5.
450 was he?
470. 470. You know, so the Valerie and Nolan Valerie Moore they're becoming quite serious operators, and I think for Gordon Elliott it's happened at a really good time. And obviously had hollow games in the race as well. But there's a good story actually. A friend of mine is at Willie Mullins one day, and this horse just on the gallops, and he says to Willie, "What the hell is that?" And he goes, "That's a horse called Douvan." So my mate is great to think outside the box, and he's like, "How do I get the dam of this horse?" Right? So the dam is only based in North Africa, right?
Really?
The owner is from like Tunisia or something like that. So back and forth, looks promising, blah, 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 blah. He thinks he might even get this horse, the Dam of Douvan, who obviously is by Walk in the Park. And eventually the deal falls through or whatever. And now we have John Bon and whatever else has come along since. John Bon obviously sold for like 550 or something. So it was a good call, but he called my mate Mr. Paul, but Mr. Paul just couldn't get the deal over the line. But he was thinking outside the box. He was so close.
Oh, Mr. Paul, very, very close to pulling off a stroke there, but
what about Mr. Flynn?
Well, I certainly haven't got the funds.
Raducanu, that was a stroke over the Christmas for you, huh?
Yeah, I can't buy any Broadmares for 900 quid though, mate. So, but anyway, moving back to the racing.
Okay, I think so. Are we done with racing? When we get to the football?
I think so. Yeah, straight into a bit of footy, I think.
Okay, top four. Obviously, I imagine it's a 3-horse race between your beloved Arsenal, Spurs, and Manchester United. How's it looking in the bet?
Very, very tight. I mean, like I said at the start of the show, the kind of outright winner market is pretty redundant now. City 12 on, Liverpool in there at 10-1, Chelsea 33, and then your 200 bar. But top four kind of take City out, obviously. Liverpool 1-50, and then Chelsea 1-20. But it's all about that prestigious fourth place.
Wouldn't actually totally rule Chelsea out of this market either, to be honest. So that Chelsea are on 43 points. Spurs are 10 behind them, but they've 3 games in hand, for example. And obviously with the Lukaku situation, Chelsea have been bang average for the last 6 games or so. So no guarantee they'll finish in the top 3 at the moment.
No, fair enough. And I know I'm an Arsenal fan, but I actually bet Arsenal before the City game without City for the league at 100-1 with a firm at a very small bet, hundreds.
Nice.
Purely on form basis, and the fact that Chelsea aren't a great nick, Liverpool aren't a great nick, and they've got the African Cup of Nations coming up. Salah and Mane are going. So and then United. And I think that the way we played against City just says it all about how far we've actually come. I know we got beaten and we need to get the points, but that first half performance was absolutely fantastic.
How many shots did City have on target? It was like really, really little, and like it was so frustrating that Gabriel sending off, allied to the chance that they just missed as well. And now the penalty, I thought was a penalty. Xhaka shouldn't have tackled him. But the Gabriel, like, how do you tackle like that if you're on a yellow? Like, and then he starts giving out to the referee. But all in all, it was a really good performance.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it certainly wouldn't put you off betting Arsenal for the top 4. So United are in there at 11-10, Arsenal are 5-2, Spurs are 5-2, obviously with the game in hand, and then you're 6-1 West Ham. I think we'll just find out West Ham now. Unfortunately, they're actually playing this evening. Sorry, not this evening. They're playing midweek. But I think you'll probably find West Ham out now a little bit. In terms of top 6, you're looking at 2-7 Arsenal, 1-7 United, 1-3 Spurs, 4-5 West Ham, then you're 6-1 Leicester, and 14-1 Brighton. So if you wanted to oppose a couple of the kind of top 4 protagonists, then you can get involved in that market. In terms of relegation, Norwich, you'd think that they're pretty much down there, 1-16, but then you're 8-15 Watford, 4-6 Burnley, levels your Devils, Newcastle, even money. Talk of Trippier coming in the next couple of days for Newcastle, so their spending spree's about to start. Then you're 4-1 Leeds and 10-1 Bar there, that's Brentford. So that's all to play for in terms of who's going to stay up. The top goal scorer market will be interesting now because obviously Salah's going to be going off for a month or so. He's 4 on, but then you're 8-1 Ronaldo, 12-1 Jota. That's an interesting angle. You think he's going to get a lot of minutes in the next month or so with the other guys going off to play. Then you've got Harry Kane in there at 20s and Mane's 25. So lots of different, obviously, your normal outright markets to get involved in. Next manager to leave the post, we've got that up on site. Rafa Benitez 11-8, Ranieri 6-4, Bielsa 11s, and then your 14-1 Bar. Eddie Howe's 14-1, joint with Tuchel. How mad would that be?
Don't need the job a wet week.
Yeah, I know exactly. Poor lad. He's already been shipped off by the Star Sports traders anyway.
Just in terms of the actual title itself, how is the book looking?
That is a fantastically good question. Whilst you stall, I'll have a look, Johnny.
Probably not bad in the sense that I know people were back in Chelsea. I was sort of tipping Chelsea. That fell in its face pretty quickly. And Man City had gone out to, if I'm right in thinking, I think they've gone out to maybe 11-8 at some stage. But just results have been, what have they now, 10 wins in a row or something like that?
Yeah, plenty. City are actually a decent result, albeit not massive winners in the book, but they are on the green. We had some madmen betting West Ham before the season started. They were the biggest losers. Liverpool and United were the other two losers for us. The rest of the field wins. No Skinners are in contention. So it will just be City who will get us a little bit of dough, to be fair, in the Premier League outright market.
Okay, so yeah, and onto the darts. Tonight's final, Smith v Wright. I imagine neither is a good result for the firm. Am I right or am I wrong?
Wright is absolutely horrific.
Right.
Lots of multiples running onto Peter Wright. So
snake bite could be very, very hurtful for the firm. Yeah,
Gerwin Price and Peter Wright were the two which would really, really hurt us and would be a really poor start to the year. So it's all about the bully boy tonight. It's all about Mark.
Will you be watching it?
I certainly will be. I
can imagine you like drinking some sort of a can of ale as a youngster there beside you. Young Arthur is just like basically watching the darts at 14 weeks or whatever he is now.
Well, he actually loves it because obviously you've got a dartboard on there, and babies obviously love colours, don't they? So obviously like the green, the black,
that's
the
only
white
their hair
and all
goes.
that. Oh well, yeah, and he certainly loves it when Peter Wright's on as well. So he'll be glued to Peter Wright's Mohican tonight anyway.
So you're hoping he don't win anyway.
Oh yeah, certainly. It'll be an absolutely shocking result and a shocking start to the year for us here at Star. Not quite as bad as if Gerwin Price would have won, but still really, really poor. So we will need the outsider to win tonight. It'll be a really interesting game. Loads of 180s. Peter Wright set the record last night for the World Championship, and Michael Smith isn't short of a 180 either. So some fantastic stuff to look forward to in the darts tonight. I would imagine this will go out afterwards, so I won't go mad on reading out all the prices and stuff in terms of the specials. But in terms of the match, Michael Smith 5-4 and 8-11 Peter Wright. We do have loads of specials up. Hopefully it goes out before and you can have a look at those. Peter Wright 170 checkout 6-1. Michael Smith 170 checkout 6-1. So loads to get stuck into there in terms of the darts, and we'll be hoping for a good result. And I guess the last one to talk about, Johnny, is the golf.
Sentry Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, so the winter break's over and we're back with a bit of golf, which is good to see. Obviously, love watching the golf. John Rahm's 8-1, JT joint favourite 8-1, Bryson DeChambeau 10s, Colin Morikawa 10-1. I think he's value this week. Patrick Cantlay 11s, then you're 12-1 by that Victor Hovland looking for a third successive victory. With 5 places of 5th in the main market, and this is obviously where it all starts going for the season going forward. Fantastic field being assembled here. The only main one missing is Rory McIlroy. But all of the top in the world are pretty much playing here, and that gets underway on Thursday. So do check that out before it gets going. John Rahm and JT are 8-1 favourites.
And I want to say the festive sort of tip for the year ahead from the boy Flynn is protector of 14s to Gold Cup.
It certainly is. I'll be pretty sweet on him now. I wouldn't put anyone off Tiger Woods for the Masters either. I know that sounds the most puntery, muggy comment of all time, but around the 60-1 mark, the way he played in the Father and Sons tournament recently, I think he's going to be eager to get back, and I don't think he'll be 60s when they start the Masters, so that'll be an interesting bet to look at there. But yeah, protector at around 14s for the Gold Cup would be the tip going forward, I think. And you, Johnny, surely you've got one lined up for us.
I've nothing at the moment. I've absolutely nothing. Nothing anti-post. I find it just Cheltenham as well. There's so many options for these bloody horses now that we mentioned the novice chasers. Like there's so many good novice chasers there, but obviously they're going to try to avoid each other. I'll have something for next week. Yeah, I'll come up with something. The football front's not looking great. The League of Ireland next season looks a formality for Shamrock Rovers. Yeah, so I'll come up with something next week. The tipping going well at the moment, but anti-post has been very, very quiet. But I hope we have a good year ahead, and I hope you enjoyed Trader Chat, Flynn.
Yeah, I did actually. It's very good to be back, Johnny.
It's good to be back, and yeah, we shall be back next week. We'll know then if Peter Royd was a costly one for the firm, and we'll know a bit more about the season ahead on the racing front, and we'll know how many points Man City are here. We'll talk to you next week.